No, math is finished. Revolution in the South. Okay, can everybody show me your books? See Kenko's, see Kenji's, Rob's, see Alexi's, see Cameron's, see Hannah's, Jude, Michael, see Jude's, Michael, Julian. Thank you. You put your camera down so I can see you. Cameron, put your camera down so I can see you. Michael. Okay, thank you. All right, so yesterday, we've been talking mostly about Simon Bolivar, and he led revolutions in the North, and he helped to liberate Venezuela, and what was called New Granada, now Colombia, and then also, and Panama was part of that time, Ecuador and Peru. But meanwhile, in the South, San Martin was also leading revolutionary movements. Okay, starting from Argentina, in the south part of South America, and then coming up in the chapter, they met briefly in Peru. Okay, but then it mentions that San Martin went back down to Chile, down south. So it seems like they do not have a cooperative relationship. Yes. Little whiteboard. Successes did Jose de San Martin achieve as a military leader? So both Bolivar and San Martin were good military leaders, good generals, but they were not such great politicians. They didn't know how to get along with each other. So as long as when you're a general, you just make a command and everybody obeys, right? In the army. That's the way it works, right? So they're good at that. But it's different when you have a government to run. Trouble in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, Argentina, was a prosperous city and busy port in the early 1800s. Then one morning in 1806, the residents of this Spanish city woke up to see 10 large British warships anchored in their bay. You can imagine their surprise and their anxiety. What did this mean? What should they do? Suddenly, Chinese ships showed up in New York City. Suddenly, 10 Chinese warships were off the coast. Now, what would America do? Could happen, who knows? China's getting more and more strong, right? So that's the situation they faced at that time. They decided to wait to see what the Spanish viceroy would do. And so viceroy is a person who rules a colony on behalf of a king or queen. He represents the king or the queen in the colony. So, most of South America, again, is Spanish, right? So we know because Argentina, basically they still speak Spanish there. We know that the British were not ultimately not successful. They did not win, but however they did, there's some islands off the coast of Argentina called the Falkland Islands, which the British still control. England is still in control of the Falkland Islands.
Within 2 months, the people of the area organized a
Rob, continue
militia to
reading.
resist the British invasion. Their leader was Santiago de Liniers, the commander of the Spanish fleet that had been away when the British first arrived.
Okay, thank you. Kenko, continue.
The militia was an
Militia.
army made up largely of Criollos who lived near Buenos Aires. There were about 8,000 militia members along with 1,000 regular Spanish soldiers from Montevideo. Montevideo is on the opposite side of the Rio River de la Plata from Buenos Aires and is today the capital of Uruguay.
Okay, thank you. Kenji?
The militia soon drove off the British troops and the British fleet. The Cabildo, or the city council of Buenos
Buenos Aires.
Aires,
Buenos
then
Aires.
refused to let the old viceroy have his position back. Instead, they elected Santiago de Liniers as the new viceroy. This was a revolutionary act because only the king had the right to appoint the viceroy.
Okay, so the viceroy that was appointed by the king, he ran away, and this other guy stepped up and fought the British off. So the people wanted him to be the new viceroy, but he was not appointed by the king. So this is usually not allowed, but probably nothing the king could do about it. Alexei, continue.
Soon, Great Britain sent a larger fleet with 12,000 men to retake the city. The time the citizens were ready, they fought bravely and defeated the larger and better trained British force. Everyone helped drive off the enemy. Even those who could not fight helped by bringing food and water to the men who were fighting and by tending the wounds of those injured in battle.
Okay, so they fought off the British just like we did up in North America. So they're at a disadvantage in a way, even though the British had a very strong army, but they're 3,000 or 4,000 miles away from their home base. So it's the English colonists here and also in Argentina, they were fighting on home soil. Okay, they had the home field advantage, so it's easier for them to fight them off because they're right there where they live, lots of supplies around, and they could eventually defeat them. Okay, Julian, continue. Julian, can I see you, please? Put your camera down. Can you read? We're on page 70.
You see, guys,
After the British sailed off.
a while, so, but I'll just record this for content.
After the British sailed off, the citizens of Buenos Aires began wondering why they need the Spanish government at all. Hadn't they defended themselves? Hadn't they governed themselves?
Thank you. Cameron, continue.
we're at in recognition of his success, right?
Correct.
In recognition of his success, defending Buenos Aires, the Spanish king made Santiago de Liners a temporary victory. Liners understood how important trade was to the people of Buenos Aires. He allowed the British ships to come into the port and trade. When he began to make money, everyone was happy, but when he was only temporary.
Cameron, can you read more clearly so we can hear you?
After a few months, the king sent a permanent vice with the new viceroy began enforcing all trade laws. Now, the British ships cannot trade legally, and people made less money and had less to spend.
Okay, thank you. So Delineers, he even though Britain was the enemy,